नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 20, Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena. So, we have seen till text 12. Text 13, yeah. Please go through the translation. A couple more verses, we'll just go through the translation and summary of the purport, and then we will do the regular reading.
Text 13 translation. My dear heroic king, please keep yourself always equipoised and treat people equally, whether they are greater than you, in the intermediate stage, or lower than you. Do not be disturbed by temporary distress or happiness. Fully control your mind and senses. In this transcendental position, try to execute your duty as king in whatever condition of life you may be posted by my arrangement. For your only duty here is to give protection to the citizens of your kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So now, text 13, the Supreme Lord is giving beautiful instruction how to protect the citizens and thus derive the resultant benefits. So in this verse, very beautifully the Lord says, four instructions typically the Lord gives. First is treat higher, intermediate, and lower entities with equality. Be equipoised in happiness and distress. Control your mind and senses and protect your citizens. That is Loka Rakshanam. The last verse here is Vira Akhila Loka Rakshanam. Akhila Loka Rakshanam. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains these are the example of receiving the direct instructions from the Supreme Lord. And this is how one should execute the order of the Supreme Lord when it is received directly from Him. And if we are not so, be it, if it is not direct, then the instruction of the Lord coming indirectly, and that is coming through spiritual master. Right? So, yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadam. So, the importance of receiving instructions from one's spiritual master, Shiksha Guru, so on and so forth. Srila Prabhupada mentions about Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. You know that every man's duty is to receive orders from the Supreme Lord or his bona fide representative and take these orders as his life and soul without personal consideration. Right? And Prabhupada quotes that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one should not care very much about whether he's going to be liberated or not, but he should simply execute the direct order received from the spiritual master. So devotee is not aspiring for liberation per se. And that's what we pray, right? Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware. So mama janmani janmanishware means devotee is not looking for liberation. What you are looking for? Bhavatat bhaktir ahaituki tvai. So we are simply looking for devotional service and following the instruction of the Supreme Lord. And especially the instruction of the Supreme Lord coming through the spiritual master. Later in the 7th canto, we will see how Prahlad Maharaj is saying, "My dear Lord Narasimhadev, please bless me so that I will be engaged in the service of my spiritual master, Narada Muni." Right. So this is the beautiful prayer Prahlad offers, not direct service to even Narasimhadev who is standing in front of him, but service to the spiritual master. Bona fide spiritual master. Word bona fide is also very important. Further down the line, Srila Prabhupada writes, he instructs us outwardly in the form of spiritual master, and inwardly he instructs us as Paramatma, Chaitya Guru. Therefore, one should not accept spiritual master as an ordinary human being. Acharya mam vijaniya na avamanyeta karhechit. One should not treat the spiritual master as ordinary human being, for he is the substitute for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right. So, is spiritual master God? Absolutely not. Spiritual master is not God, but he is the personality who is carrying the instructions of God, and therefore has to be respected as good as God. And that's what Lord Krishna says. Acharya mam vijaniya na avamanyeta karihechit. One should never disrespect the spiritual master, thinking him to be ordinary human being. Gurushu naramatir Vaishnave jati buddhi. So Naraki buddhi, the hellish intelligence, is called as Arche Vishnu Shiladir. Gurushu naramatir Vaishnave jati buddhi. To consider Vishnu Murti as the Shila, Arche Vishnu Shiladir, Gurushu naramatir, consider Guru as the ordinary human being, and Vaishnave jati buddhi. Right. And considering Vaishnava by their jati. Text 14. Yeah, translation.
To give protection to the general mass of people who are citizens of the state is the prescribed occupational duty of our king. By acting in that way, the king in his next life shares 1/6 of the result of the pious activities of the citizens. But a king or executive head of state who simply collects taxes from the citizens but does not give them proper protection as human beings has the results of his own pious activities taken away by the citizens. And in exchange for his not giving protection, he becomes liable to punishment for the impious activities of his subjects. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So now, as a king, why he should protect his citizens? If a king protects his citizens, he will get 1/6 of their piety, and if he doesn't, then he will suffer for the sins of the citizens. Right? Yatha Raja, Tatha Praja, and therefore, conduct of the king is highly mentioned here. In the purport, we also covered this purport. From 15th, we'll do the regular reading. A long purport, Prabhupada writes. Srila Prabhupada writes, the divisions of activities in society is arranged according to by the Supreme Lord, and this is not arranged blindly or accidentally, but they are arranged scientifically, the way it is, and that method of arrangement is Chaturvaranyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashah. So sometimes as soon as we take the name of Chaturvaranyam, people think of, oh, this is a caste system. No, same verse talks about Maya system. This is my system. Chaturvaranyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashah. And it is based on Guna and Karma and not on the Jati, right? And because it is the system of the Lord, it is universal, all applicable everywhere, including the communist countries where there is artificial equality. Prabhupada says there is a fight for the post of dictator even in the country which is otherwise supposed to be equal to all. Right. And then Srila Prabhupada quotes 18.45 that Svesve Karmani Siddhim Labati Naraha, that by engagement in one's occupational duties through Varnashram Dharma, the same occupational duties, material activities, these are so called, which are cause of the bondage, will become the cause of liberation. So Bhagavad Gita, just flips the cause of the bondage. Action is the cause of the bondage, but the same action can becomes the cause of liberation. Just like when we are walking barefoot, and if there is a thorn, it pricks our soles of the feet. Then we take another thorn to remove the thorn, right? Similarly, Bhagavad Gita says, action leads to bondage, but use the same action to which will lead to liberation by change of consciousness. And we change our consciousness to Krishna consciousness. This is possible. Further down, a secular state does not necessitate a king or head who is indifferent to the activities of the praja. Right. This is the problem with the secular state. Praja, they say whatever you want to do, just don't encroach on others' rights, and then whatever you think good is do good, it's good for you. Just do it. In the modern state, government has many rules and regulation for conducting the duties of the praja, but the government neglects to see citizens observe the advancement in spiritual knowledge. If the government is careless, then the citizens will act whimsically without any sense of God realization or spiritual life, and thus become entangled in the sinful activities. Right. And therefore, it is very important. So now, chalo, let go the government and other things, because it is like a too big a topic. But as a head of the house, the mother and father, they have to consciously, mold their children, which is their praja, in proper direction. Right. So Trisham Prabhu was giving a beautiful lecture day before yesterday, and there he was describing how to make children into devotees. You say first 5 years, Lalayat Panchavarshani, give them lots of love, lots of hug, kiss, and everything. And then Dashavarshani Tadayat. Tadayat doesn't mean beating children. Tadayat means training. Okay, next 10 years are meant for training. And training is easily possible with Samavayaska. When you cannot make your child devotee, but you can make your child's friend devotee, and that friend will make your child devotee. Right. This is the secret. So, this praja we are responsible. An executive head should not be careless about the welfare of the general mass of people while he simply goes on collecting taxes. Right. I don't want to give the example of, uh, you know, one of the president who is just moving around and collecting big, big gifts from big, big countries. No, no, big, big gifts from small, small countries. And, Praja is going somewhere else. Krishna consciousness means completely free from all sinful activities. Somebody gifted him aeroplane also recently. $600 million aeroplane gift. You understand how the gifts work, right? As soon as there is a complete eradication of sinful activities in the state, then there will be no more war, pestilence, famine, or natural disturbance, as it was the case in the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir. So this is the potency, actually, because this material world also can be turned into spiritual world. Simply Prabhupada says the only lack is the lack of Krishna consciousness. And in the time to come, next 10,000 years are supposed to be the golden age of Kali Yuga. We will see in pockets and pieces, we will see beautiful Vaikuntha atmosphere manifesting, in some part or other. The day will come when, the kings or the heads of the state, they will accept Krishna consciousness to whatever extent they can, and will declare Krishna consciousness as the state religion. Maybe it may be a small state, or something like that, but it will happen, because this is what is the Bhavishyavani of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu is. Somewhere later, Prabhupada writes, by levying taxes on the sinful citizens, he will have to share the reactions of the sinful activities. See, now what is happening is government, in the name of secularism and so-called freedom of speech and liberty and these principles, people say you do whatever you want to do, and if the activity is sinful, right? Say drinking. Now people will argue, oh, why drinking is sinful? Why drink? Okay. If you don't accept it is sinful, at least accept it is hazardous. Otherwise, why you have a rule? Don't drink and drive. Barabar. When you drink and drive, there is a ample chance that you are going to hit people. At least believe your own rule. But government will say no, let them do whatever the sinful activities they want to do. We will tax them. So there is a sin tax. Sin tax means the sinful activities, there is a tax on those activities. And we know that Corona times, literally liquor was considered as one of the topmost state revenues, so that the entire financial system will come back to track. And we have seen that during those release days, 2-3 days, a big queue of citizens, opposite to these wine shops. So what happens is, government is not interested in government is interested in collecting taxes. In such a case, the government has to share the sinful activities, and these are laws of the nature, right? Further, Prabhupada writes, the same principle applies to the parents and the spiritual master. Abhi, now, we are not government, but here we are parents. And in the case of spiritual master as well. Parents are responsible for activities of the kid till the time they are under their jurisdiction. Even otherwise, lawfully also. Recently, one minor hit a, you know, Porsche, Pune case. He hit two people, died on the spot, and parents were in custody. Apart from other crime they committed, their another crime was not training the children very well and giving the car to the child, allowing to drink the child and drive the car when he's in a drunken state. So parents are responsible for activities of the children. Spiritual master is responsible for activities of the disciple, and king is responsible for activities of the praja. Right. So, and Prabhupada says that there is becomes responsible. If a spiritual master cannot direct his disciples to become free from the sinful activities, he becomes responsible for their sinful activities. And therefore, it is great responsibility on the disciple not to commit sinful activities after accepting spiritual master, because part of the reactions are going to go to one's spiritual master as well. These subtle laws of nature are unknown to the modern leaders of society, right? And therefore, many times they will be dying a ghastly death because of the activities of the citizens for whom they are responsible. Now we come to text 15, and this is where we'll start our reading. एवं द्विजच्च अनुमत अनुव्रत धर्म प्रधानोन्यतमो वितास्त्य रस्वेन कालेन गृहोपयातान् दृष्टासि सिद्धान् अनुरक्तलोकः. Translation.
Lord Vishnu continued, My dear king, Pruthu, if you continue to protect the citizens according to the instructions of the learned Brahmana authorities, as they received by the disciplic succession, by hearing from the master to disciple, and if you follow the religious principles laid down by them, without attachment to ideas manufactured by mental concoction, then every one of your citizens will be happy and will love you. And very soon you will be able to see such already liberated personalities as four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. Hare Krishna.
Now we continue with the purport.
Lord Vishnu advised King Pruthu that everyone should follow the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Then, in whatever capacity one remains within this material world, his salvation is guaranteed after death. In this case, however, since the system of Varnashrama Dharma is topsy-turvy, it is very difficult to strictly follow all the principles. The only method for becoming perfect in life is to develop Krishna consciousness. As Varnashrama Dharma is executed from different positions by different men, so the Krishna consciousness principle can be followed by everyone in every part of the world. There is a specific purpose in mentioning herein that one should follow the Dvija Gras, the most prominent Brahmanas, like Parashara and Manu. These great sages have already given us instructions on how to live according to the principles of Varnashrama Dharma. Similarly, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami have given us rules and regulations for becoming pure devotees of the Lord. It is essential, therefore, to follow the instructions of the Acharya in the Parampara system, who have received the knowledge as passed down from spiritual master to disciple. In this way, although in our material condition of life, we can get out of the entanglement of material contamination without leaving our positions. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises, therefore, that one does not have to change his position. One simply has to hear from the perfect source. This is called parampara, and follow the principles for practical application in life. Thus, one can attain the highest perfection of life, liberation, and go back home, back to Godhead. In other words, the change is required. The change required is a change of consciousness, not in the body. Unfortunately, in this fallen age, people are connected with the body, not with the soul. They are invented They have invented so many aims pertaining to the body only, not to the soul. In the modern age of democracy, there are so many government representatives voting for legislations. Every day they bring out a new law. But because these laws are only mental concoction manufactured by inexperienced conditioned soul, they cannot give relief to human society. Formerly, although the king were autocrats, they strictly followed the principles laid down by great sages and saintly persons. There were no mistakes in ruling over the country, and everything went perfectly. The citizens were completely pious. The king relieved taxes legitimately, and therefore the situation was very happy. At the present moment, the so called executive heads are more or less selected from materially ambitious persons who simply look after their own personal interests. They have no knowledge of the Shastras. In other words, the executives, the executive heads are fools and rascals in the strict sense of terms, and the people in general are Shudras. This combination of fools and rascals and Shudras cannot bring about peace and prosperity in this world. Therefore, we find periodic upheavals in society in the form of battles, communal rights, and fratricidal quarrels. Under these circumstances, not only are the leaders unable to lead the people toward liberation, but they cannot even give them peace of mind. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that everyone who lives on concocted ideas without reference to the Shastras never becomes successful and does not attain happiness or liberation after death. Hare Krishna.
The Lord continued. The Lord says, by systematically protecting the citizens, what will happen? Under the guidance of the bona fide Brahmanas and the great sages, two things will happen. First thing is you will become Anurakta Lokaha. Anurakta Lokaha means your citizens will be very happy and they will love you. And also, Drashtasi Siddhan, very soon you will see the great Siddhas and especially Chatush Kumar will come to give you darshan. Right. So these two things, that people will be happy, Anurakta Lokaha, and they will love you like a father. And second is you will come across Siddha personalities, especially Chatush Kumar. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the importance of Varnashrama Dharma and how in Kali Yuga the entire system has become topsy-turvy. And therefore it is very difficult to align with the principles of Varnashram Dharma, and therefore the best method, the only method is reviving Krishna consciousness. Right. Because the society is broken in so many different ways, then better, one performs the emergency medical treatment and gives the direct Krishna consciousness instead of trying to fix the broken Varnashrama Dharma. Here Prabhupada says the specific purpose, the specific purpose is mentioned about the most prominent Brahmanas. So previously, the kings were kings in the sense they were autocratic, but they were guided by great personalities. And because they were guided by great personalities, their decisions were always in sync with the welfare of the masses. And currently, this is lacking. And therefore, Prabhupada says, when one has this idea that one is being guided by the bona fide spiritual master in parampara system, he doesn't have to change much. Sthane sthita shrutigatan tanvak manobhi. That simply sthane sthita, remaining at one's own place, we don't have to change varna, Prabhuji, I am Kshatriya, I want to become Brahmana, or I am Vaishya, I want to become Kshatriya. You don't have to change varna. You don't have to change ashrama also. Neither many people are qualified to take sannyas ashram in this age. Remaining within the grihastha ashram, remaining within your own varna, shruti gatan, one should focus on hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord and serving the Lord tanu vak manobhi. And this is the simple method recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, people are more connected with the body and less connected with the soul, and therefore there are so many isms they will come in the picture. Further, Srila Prabhupada comments about the government system. The government brings the new law, and all these laws are made by the conditioned soul, Prabhupada writes. Therefore, it may look for some temporary benefit, but ultimately, that is being replaced by another law. And thus, one law is replaced by another law, and the society continues in the same chaos. And then, at the present moment, the executive heads are more or less selected from materially ambitious persons who simply look for their own sense gratification. And the classic example is our Mr. Trump. I mean, so ideally, just fits every explanation that Srila Prabhupada writes about a ruler in Kali Yuga. That, it is, I just don't know to quote him many times, but classic example. Okay, he is there, he will be by, accepting a gift of 600 million aeroplane. His name will be there 1,000 times in the Epstein files, and you name it, and he's there, right? So very, very classic example. They have no knowledge of the Shastra, and thus executive heads are typically of the sense Moodha and Vimudha. And this is in English, they are translated as fools and rascals. And this is the combination. Kalau Shudra Sambhava, the Kali Yuga, the population is faithless Shudras. Shudra means one who has no faith in the Lord and one is not trained by samskara, not about the birth. Kalau Shudra Sambhava is for everyone. Janmana Jayate Shudra Samskarat Bhavid Dvijaha. Without proper samskara, everybody remains a Shudra only. So this combination, Prabhupada says that the leaders are like Moodha Vimudha, and citizens, they are like Shudra. This is a very deadly combination. And time to time, there will be so many periodic upheavals in the society in the form of battles, riots, wars, and everything else. And just open the newspaper, and every word of Bhagavatam is, justified with the news. And therefore, to have peace and prosperity, peace of mind, one has to follow Shastra. Without following the Shastra, one will never become successful. Neither one will attain happiness or liberation after death. Yaha Shastra Vidimusrujya Vartate Kamakaratah Nasa Siddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Parangati. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gauda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question.
Prabhuji,
Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
No,
Prabhupada.
thank you, Prabhupada.
Dandot
Thank you,
Pranam,
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is it okay to ask one question?
Yeah, please.
Prabhuji, in the case of a good king or good parents, they are trying their best. The king sometimes may be really good, but maybe some people in Praja cannot be so good, or they are doing impious activities. Similarly, if parents are really doing their duties and children are not up to standard, like in the case of Vena, then are parents or the king still responsible for the activities of such people?
King or parent, they are responsible for providing the facility. Right. To take advantage of the facility is again the free will of the other jiva. And that's what exactly Maharaj Anga did. He created good facility. He himself was a great devotee, coming from a great parentage. But the child was Vena, who was like a death personified right from the beginning. And, then he's not responsible. So, of course, that is an extreme example, Anga and Vena. But, the point here is that parents are responsible for creating good facility to the child, and the child is responsible for becoming, taking advantage of this facility or not. Right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada.